One thing that I would say, and that I will emphasize in this presentation as well as in the others that I give this weekend, is that I believe that first principles and the most basic understanding of our practice is the most important, because we can always get into layers of complexity and detail when we're making an application based on need in any circumstance. But I've always found in my own learning, and certainly those with students and apprentices, that a really secure grasp of basic first principles is really the most useful thing, because once we're in the field, we're often on our own. How many people have had a lonely moment when they're out dowsing? And is it really something that I'm finding, or am I just making this up? It can be a little bit lonely in the field for a dowser, particularly when you're doing tangible target work, spotting a well or a borehole, knowing that there's going to be thousands of dollars invested in it, and also one's own reputation. So often we find ourselves in rather exposed and lonely circumstances when we're working in the field as dowsers, and obviously organizations and moments like this where we can come together and share stories and talk about our successes as well as our failures, as well as things that are difficult or challenging for us, tremendously supportive and important. One thing that's reassuring in this is to remember that whether you're an atom or a plant or a rock or a person or an animal or a planet or a solar system or in fact a galaxy, we all share the identical same shape. We're all versions of a single thing, which is, let me just move to this. Is everybody familiar with this shape? This is mathematically called a toroid, and gastronomically it's called a bagel. It's a ring with a hole through the middle. And everybody sitting here is one of these. And the planet we're sitting on is one of these. And if you want to be anything at all, you have to be one of these. Did anybody in the audience ever perfect the art of blowing smoke rings? Yes. Why did you bother to do that? What's the fun of a smoke ring? Obviously, it has its own existence and identity outside of ourselves. We kind of give birth to something for a little while. Now, the thing with a smoke ring is that it's a toroid like this, and it exists as an independent entity for as long as it maintains rotational symmetry. That's the key. So as long as a toroidal field, which is the only field form that's self-sustaining, as long as that maintains its rotational symmetry, then it maintains its identity. Once the winds of fate buffet our smoke ring, then it disperses into a cloud of gas, which may or may not happen to us once we lose our own rotational symmetry. Perhaps we disperse into an expanding cloud of light, or maybe we maintain our rotational symmetry through that transition. But the underlying point that I want to make is we look like that. So does our planet. So does anything. And so we can navigate apparent differences in scale and apparent differences in complexity by remembering that we share absolutely the fundamental symmetry of every created thing in the universe.